the ramifications that we are seeing, and there are some actually inside Israeli society. Yes, Israel unfortunately does support this genocide more than I would hope, but there are people who are getting kind of sick of it. Tel Aviv is on edge over talk of mass troop resignations. The Israeli army is worried about the rise of members in its ranks voluntarily leaving the forces, just as reports have surfaced that the military is in need of an increase in support. Israel Hayom reported on March 5th, and Israel Hayom is a very right-wing newspaper, but that doesn't mean they would necessarily ignore something like this. Higher-ups within the Israeli army have raised alarms over talks between the younger soldiers and more veteran career officers who have voiced desires to leave the forces as soon as the operation situation allows it. Career officers have even expressed envy toward the reservist forces. One combat support soldier who spoke said, if I go out in a dress uniform, meaning an officer's uniform, they look at me with contempt. If I'm in combat fatigues, the attitude is completely different because they think I'm a reservist. So as you follow that, everyone in Israel has to serve has to be in the military at some point, right? For 2 years is the minimum. And if you don't, you will be arrested. And I've talked I've interviewed conscientious objectors in Israel before who were arrested or had to flee the country because they would be arrested. So everyone has to be in the military for 2 years. The Israeli society, if they see someone walking around in fatigues, in combat gear, then they assume it's a reservist, meaning that person had no choice. They were grabbed up and told they had to go be in the military again, or they were in their 2 years or whatever, meaning it wasn't really their decision to be there right now. Whereas career officers, it's like, oh, those people have decided this is full time. I am a part of this. And so this is saying that even in Israeli society, which largely supports this ongoing genocide, even within Israeli society, many of these career officers are being looked at with contempt, which is a major shift. That is a major shift in sentiment in the society. And you can't overstate how much impact that could have. Because one of the reasons that the U.S. finally left Vietnam, one of the reasons, yes, there were myriad, but one of the reasons was because the U.S. was beginning to have trouble finding soldiers that would actually be in the military and not like try and kill themselves, kill their commander, flee, go AWOL. The U.S. couldn't find the troops that would still support that massacre in Vietnam as they continue to just throw bodies at it, bodies of Vietnamese and bodies of U.S. men and women. And that was part of the reason that the U.S. saw the writing on the wall. Now, they could have stayed there a lot longer or a little longer, but they knew that as time went on and they were losing American society, soldiers would come home and not really be respected for being in the military over in Vietnam. As that started to happen, I'm not going to say it was 100%, but as that started to happen in American society, it made it very tough to continue the operations. And so you could see the same with Israel if this continues. And that window, that thought process in that society is being created by all of us around the world who are furious over this, who are speaking out, who are making a scene and causing problems. The BDS movement, but impacting Israeli economy. The Houthis who are, bombing the ships and making that part of Israeli economy difficult. There's so many aspects of this, intertwined aspects, but it goes to speak. I have a tattoo on my arm from Howard Zinn. It says, small acts, when multiplied by millions of people, can become a power no government can suppress, a power that can change the world. And this would be a good example of it. Small acts are creating this sentiment that is growing and exerting pressure